Hello, welcome to the Real Internet Come Forth YouTube channel. My name is Internet Smith and I am your author. Remember to get your books, get your books, get your books. And remember that both of the book series, the Real Internet Come Forth book series, is 4 separate books, 9 volumes. If you've had the first 3 books, I will give you the 4th book free. And the Behind the Scene book series is 5 books. You buy the first 4 books, I give you the 5th book free. Send me proof that you have purchased the books and I will get the loyalty cards to you. And each book comes with its own bookmark. I would love for you to have the bookmark and the loyalty cards. And they come in paperback or digital version. And to remember that my new release book is out. My Jesus Experience is Our Journey. You can get it for $11.95 at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Google, Apple iTunes, Walmart.com, Indigo, and Target. And the new bookmarks are in metallic paper. They are beautiful. Let me know that you have purchased the book and I will get the bookmarks to you. Okay? And to the people that won the free books, they are ready for shipment. They will be going out tomorrow. Thank you so much for your continued support. So today I have planned for us, we're going to do a live reading. And also we're going to answer some questions. I have like 11 questions, but I'm only going to do maybe like 5 and break it up into 2 segments. So we'll start with the reading first. All right. We're on volume number 4, The Real Internet Come Forth, volume 4, titled The Addict, Drug and Sex Addiction, age 18 to 26. And I'm going to be reading from chapter 3. It is titled New Place, Same Me. And I'm 18 years of age. It was October of 1994, and my 3 children and I have arrived in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We would be living with my aunt and uncle and their 10 children. They gave us our own room for a small monthly fee, no problem. I had babysit their children before. Now, some of them were my age and age only. I was more responsible in the eyes of many. So we immediately set up a house program to establish order in the house. My aunt took me to the welfare office to sign up for food stamps and cash assistance, and they approved me. I began looking for apartments. My aunt took me to look in their area, plus the state will pay your first month's rent once you found housing. And next, I signed up for the GED program. I found out that there was a bus that would pick me up from the house, and they had a child care center on site for young moms. That was perfect. I told you God would provide for me when I got to where I was going. God's goodness is not based on my goodness, but His. My job is to believe what He said. So within 60 days, I had a 2-bedroom apartment and in GED class with my 3 children attending childcare with me. Perfect. I was going to make it. The state paid everyone's heating bill, so I was just responsible for my rent and lights. I received a check and food stamps, plus I would still sell a few drugs, not many, because we didn't go anywhere. Up there, it was too cold. We had been to the Mall of America, to Camp Snoopy a few times in the last months. We mostly had cookouts. My uncle loved to cook, so family life was good. I had seen both my lovers a couple of times since we moved from Illinois. I was encouraging them to find themselves steady girlfriends, and soon. I just felt like I needed to change. It had been 3 months since I saw or talked to my children's father, and I felt great. I missed him and wondered what he was doing, but I just couldn't take it anymore. So I rotated the days well with the nights. So I rotated the days well on the nights that my lovers would come over to my house, because I waited until my children were asleep before I let them come over. I still had the Norplant birth control in my arm. I hadn't gotten menstruation in almost 3 years, and I was loving every bit of it. But sadly, I don't worry about STDs either. Neither part of my bondage is well. Thank God for Jesus and His blood that has kept me my whole life from STDs and worse. My children asked about their father, and I just said he's sick right now. And I actually believe they're happy because they don't have to witness their mother being beaten. My affairs continued for 6 months after I arrived into Minneapolis. I changed my environment, but my actions and behaviors were the same. I still attended school, and I still was a mother, and I still helped my family out. I still sold drugs. I still carried the guilt and the shame. I still was broken, wounded inside, hurting day in and out with a pretty smile on my face. I was a dressed up garbage can. Wait a minute. I was a dressed up garbage can, to say the least. I was hated because I could walk in a room and all the attention would be on me. I could speak and say, I'm going to do this and do that, and it would happen. People loved to be in my presence and in my company. I was blessed beyond measure to everyone but myself because I was bound in my mind, and part of my circumstances told me that I was too. I was loved by many people in different places, but the people that I wanted to love and accept me didn't. So that one that I didn't love, so the one that I did that did love me, I pushed him to the side. I tried for years to get the people I wanted to accept and love me. Just to even be liked would be enough for me. But it didn't happen. I was rejected and despised, which caused me to plunder into a deeper depression year after year. And life itself hit me with many blows too. I'm going to stop right there. So we will continue the reading next week and get your books. And I wanted to read from that chapter because a lot of us we choose to relocate to different cities, states, because we think that's going to make things better. But sadly to say that you take you with you. Wherever you go, you take you with you. And so if you don't deal with you and the things that keeping you in bondage and keeping you doing the same things that you're doing, if you don't heal your insides, if you don't get help for the challenges that you're facing, you're going to go to the next town or the next state or the next country and do the very same things. You'll just find different people to do it with because you haven't changed. If you don't change your mindset, if you don't get educated on the things that have you bound, okay? So I wanted to read from that chapter because I know for a fact that we be wanting to change, or we think, oh, when I get to this new place, things are going to be different, things are going to be better, only to find out that we're doing the very same things because we ourselves haven't changed. Our environment changed, but we ourselves haven't changed. So you have to do the change, and the atmosphere will take hold right along with you. Okay? So I'm going to read some questions. I think I'm going to do like 5, okay, this session. So these questions are from the state of Mississippi. And the first one said, how do you think you became a drug addict? Okay. I have attended AA, which is Alcohol Anonymous, and NA, which is Narcotic Anonymous meetings. I have been in-house rehabilitation centers. I have did outpatient rehabilitation center. I have done meetings on a daily basis. I have done meetings for on the weekly basis. I have had a sponsor, someone to be accountable for. In AA and NA, they teach you that you was an addict even before you was an addict. Meaning you was addicted to something even before you picked up drugs. They also teach you that drugs is only 10% of your symptoms, of your problems. The other 90% is your feelings. Remember, I told you in previous videos that it's called a mood altering substance. You take drugs because you want to alter the mood that you're in. You don't like the way that you feel. And how I think I became a drug addict was years and years and years of sexual abuse, which turned into physical abuse, psychological abuse, and I just got to the place that I couldn't take it anymore. Years and years and years of abuse. I suffered depression on many, many levels. I would have highs and lows, and I would before I even started using the drugs, I still had behaviors because I couldn't control my feelings and what I feel on my insides. I would try to control the things that went on around me, like my environment, my house, my home, my children, different relationships, and like that. But as we know, you can't control people. But the final straw for me was um, I moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota at the age of 18, escaping an abusive relationship that I was in with my children's father. Um, Prior to that, I had a sexual addiction, because we're talking, these questions are from this book right here, The Addict, Drug and Sex Addiction. So I was addicted to sex. I had my children's father with me, and then I also had two lovers that I seen on the regular basis, and then others in between. So I was addicted to sex before I was addicted to the drugs. Once I moved to Minnesota, my lovers came to Minneapolis with me, as I just read in this book. um and so I just, like, I really need to get myself together, because I realized that even though I moved to a new place, and even though I may not be with my children's father and still getting the physical abuse, I'm still doing the same things that I was doing. I'm still not faithful. I'm still cheating. I'm still, it's got to be something wrong with me. Okay. But the icing on the cake, what really did it was, one of my lovers, like I said, I scheduled the visits for them to come to see me. I would rotate between the two. And one of them was on their way to see me one night and got killed. Got killed. I waited, waited, waited. He was very punctual. He was never late. If he said something, he would do it. I had been in a relationship with him for almost 2 years. So, he got killed, and that really just, that did something to me. That did something to me, because I'm like, oh my God. He begged me and begged me and begged me to just be in relationship with him. That he would make, we would have a great life. I didn't have to, worry about being beat on, because he was very loving, very kind, very supportive. He was everything you would dream a man would be, but and I kept telling him, no, I can't leave my children. Felt like we would never have a life. He's not going to let us be free, and he got killed trying to come to see me. And that plunged me into a depression. And then after that, my children's father ended up coming to Minneapolis, where I was. Um, and like I said, I was in a depression. I would be crying and sad, and he trying to figure out what's wrong with me. And I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I mean, I couldn't tell anybody about it. I had absolutely no one to talk to about that I had lost this man that meant the world to me. He made me feel like I was somebody. He always took the time for me, and I had no one to talk to that about. I couldn't talk to it about it. Um, I wasn't able to attend his services because I was too ashamed to even um, say that I was basically the cause of his death. He hadn't even began to live his life. 18 years, we were both the same age, 18 years old. We had just turned, we was about to be 19. And so it was real hard. And on top of this, so I just kept saying, Lord, if you get me through this, I promise I'll never have another affair again. I would just, whoever I'm with, I'll be with them, whether it works or not. I'm just get me through this, get me through this. And that was my prayer. Well, like I said, my children's father came to Minneapolis some weeks later or months later, whatever it was, and I was still in a Great Depression. Um, and like I said, I'm going to keep my word about not having another multiple affair, because I don't want to be responsible for somebody else's life. And when I tried to stick to that, and then I entered back into the relationship with my children's father, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give it my all. I'm just going to focus on our relationship. Maybe I didn't do everything I was supposed to do in this relationship. That's why we had the issues that we had, and like that. But, and then He cheated. He cheated. I had evidence that he cheated. I told him he was going to cheat before he cheated. And I begged him, I was like, please don't do this. I feel it. I know what you're finna do. Don't do it. And he just kept trying to deny, no, I'm going out with my friends, da 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 da. And he ended up cheating on me. He ended up jeopardizing our relationship. And it sent me into a spiral because I'm like, okay, I began to see a side of him that I didn't know existed. The person that he chose to have the affair with was much younger. Um, I began to see that he really wasn't the person that I thought he was. And so I was hurt. I was very I was beyond hurt. So I was more devastated because I was already into a deep depression. And so he used to smoke marijuana and he used to drink um, Martell, some brown liquor called Martell. And he used to always keep it at the house. Um, and so I said, you know what? I said, leaving you will be too easy, because you'll escape the wrath of me. So I knew that he was the type, he didn't like women that smoked, he didn't like women that drink, so he said. And so I said, every day I come home, you better always have me some weed and always have me a drink. Because at this point, I already had a problem with sleeping, but then when my lover died, I really had a problem with sleeping. And depression and stuff like that. But he didn't know any of this. So, and that's how I started. So I would try to take a shot with him and he teaching me how to, take a couple of hits off a joint and then I would just go to bed. It became something I did at night so I can get some sleep, so I can escape the reality that I was in. But sadly to say, my addiction increased in the matter of 6 months. I went from taking a shot of liquor and hitting a couple of joints every night to smoking crack cocaine. That's just how quick it took off because I began to it was too much. I just, the pain was too much, the guilt was too much. I had cost somebody their life. And then like I said, I didn't have anybody to talk to about it, you know. And so that's how I became a drug addict. That's how I became a drug addict. Okay. How has your history affected your children and your relationship with them? My drug addiction um, has affected my children. Okay. So I became a parent at 13 years old. By the time I was 23, I had 5 children. My drug use started at age 18 and it ended at age, just say 27. So we're talking about what, 9 years? 9 years of drug use. Um, in that 9 years, I birthed 2 more children. I would have periods of sobriety. I went to rehabilitation centers. I went to outpatient treatment. They told me that I was a high functioning addict because I was able to still go to work. I was able to still maintain a home, pay my bills, take care of my children until the biggest demon got on my back. As long I never was a weed smoker. I couldn't smoke weed all day, every day. That's never been my thing to walk around high. I could never do that. I could never function like that. So I would have my drug of choice was crack cocaine. So I would have my periods where I just get high, and that would be my drug of choice. But when I got introduced or I accidentally caught a heroin habit, it became a whole nother beast. That's when things began to really get out of control for me. That's when things really began to spiral because I had no knowledge of heroin. I had only knowledge of cocaine and marijuana and alcohol, you know. So now I have this habit and I'm scared to death. I don't know how to get out of it. I was actually coached into how to use it, but not never really given a remedy to get off of it. And when I did get a remedy to get off of it, it was bad. So I had been addicted for maybe 2 full straight years and scared to death that, if I don't have, because I've seen people that try to get off of heroin, they throwing up and vomiting and diarrhea. And I'm like, oh my God, you shaking, you sweating and you can literally die. And we've known people to die. If you get the wrong drug, the wrong dose or whatever, you can die. And then, like I said, I had no knowledge of this drug. And so I always lived in fear of it. And so it took me to a place that I didn't want to go, and it kept me longer than I wanted to stay. And it affected my children because I would be gone. I had to work more to support my habit. I ended up being a master thief, and then even pulling my children into stealing with me. I would put baby formula, because that was the highest going thing. I would put baby formula in my children's book bags. I bring them in the stores with me, and then I would have them, to come in and they stealing with me, and they would cry, and I'd be like, it's okay, just help mama out. But it really affected, my history has affected my children and our relationship, because no matter how much I apologize to them, and tell them that I'm sorry, I was sick, they remember the hurts and pains. They remember going to stay with their father while I was in rehab, and it didn't go according to plan, and they end up staying with them longer. They remember me leaving, being gone weeks at a time. They remember us not having food or having to live with somebody, so they still struggle from it. I'm still finding out a lot of things that occurred during my drug use for my children. It's just so it's a struggle. We still building. We still building. We are still trying to recreate relationship as adults. Um, they have their different views on life, and I have mine. Um, they're telling me from their point of view what they think, what they see, what happened. And I'm going on what I think happened and what I thought happened and how things should be and how I fought to change for them. Um, but some of them have a whole totally different view, and that's okay. But my history has affected my children greatly. And like I said, we're still building. We're still building. The next question is, who did you hurt the most with your addiction? I think I hurt my parents and my children the most with my addiction, and myself. There's no one person that I hurt the most with my addiction. Um, my parents suffer greatly from my addiction. In fact, I hadn't seen my father in almost 5 years before he passed. Because of my drug addiction. He had gotten arrested and been to prison. And I seen him right before he went. I used to have dinner with my father every night. Um, and then when he got arrested, I was able to go see him one time. And then my addiction increased. And then I became a person that always had warrants, court dates, and the police was always looking for me, or I was in hiding somewhere, and I didn't get a chance to see my father before he passed. Um, so my addiction greatly um, affected the relationship. My mother, my addiction, I think, affected her the most. I think my domestic violence relationship affected her the most, because she tried to defend me and she ended up going to prison for that. And then only to get out to know that I was still with my abuser, that I had even married him. I had more children with him. Um, And that was all surrounded by my addiction. You see, uh, my children was affected by my addiction and hurt by my addiction the most because I stayed in a relationship that was not only harmful for me, but harmful for them. You should never have to drag your children into a drug addiction with you, and have them to be a part in supplying that drug addiction with you, bringing them into stores to teach them to steal and help coach you. You coaching them to steal and just saying, okay, mama got a problem and everything gonna be okay. And you forcing them, they children, to be people that they not. And it goes against everything that you believe. Um, but you sick and you just don't see no other option, in those times. But eventually I began to stop forcing them to um help me steal to support my drug habit. But the lasting effects is still there, because why would my mother make me do this? This is not love. You understand? So I mean, I see things from their perspective as well. I can understand the hurt and damage that I caused. And all I can say is that we getting better. As I get better, I try to make things better, you know? So so that's 3 questions. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'll leave the rest. I'll do another video to answer the rest of the questions and another reading to go along with it. And to remember to continue to watch these videos. I upload them every week. And thank you for your continued support. And to remember, until we meet again, God gets the glory and I tell the story. Goodbye.